Hey everybody, this video series talks about landowners working together across property lines to manage the whitetail deer. In today's video, I want to share our food plot plan for 2021. I had somebody help me with this plan who is very knowledgeable about this subject. In fact, this person has killed 3 200-inch deer recently on property that they manage. So it's very important for me to pass on knowledge that I learned, because I definitely learned a lot from this person. I wouldn't have designed my food plot plan like this had I not talked to them. You know, I want all hunters to be successful. I want all landowners to be successful on their property. I want my neighbors to have success. Just imagine if we're doing something like this and my neighbors are doing something like this. How many more deer can we have in the neighborhood? How many more deer and more big bucks can we have in the neighborhood? There's this old saying, if you want to go fast, go alone. If you want to go far, go together. So I think it's really important that all of us as hunters, all of us as landowners, we share the information that we've learned and that we know with other hunters, because we're just improving the habitat for white-tailed deer everywhere, and that means more deer and bigger deer. So I'm really excited about this plan, and let's look at it. This is a 15-acre field in total. We predominantly have a northwest wind, which comes from this direction. On the outside, we have the woods. The black arrows point to the places that the major bedding areas are. In the past, greater than 50% of the deer have entered through this corner. You know, even if they bedded down here or over here or up around here, the deer seem to like to swing to this corner and enter the field. So with that in mind, we have 2 deer trails cut, one here and one here. And these trails put the deer in close proximity to the blinds once they enter the field. There's a blind here and here. The trails are cut through red clover, and we're going to leave this standing. So by the time hunting season rolls around in September, this red clover is going to be 3 to 4 feet tall. So the deer won't be eating it during that time. It's just going to act as a transition area where they will be passing through it to get into this food plot system. The deer may bed in it. You know, I foresee that happening, that this is a great place to bed for them, you know, in between feeding sessions. But I wanted to leave this standing here to act as a buffer, just a transition area, because the deer should enter the system on these trails, or they'll enter down here. You know, some might come from over here, but the majority of the deer come from this direction. So once they're in the system, there's no reason for them to go over here once they're out to feed. This is where talking about these thick black lines comes into play. These lines are 10 foot wide, and this is a product from Domain Seed called Incognito. It's a couple different types of sorghum and Egyptian wheat, and the grass grows 7 to 10 feet tall. So I got the red clover buffer here, 7 to 10 foot tall grass on this side, which is hopefully going to keep the deer in this system. Also, left a walking path down the middle of this. So when we're ready to get out of our blind at the end of the night, you know, we got the tall grass on the front side of the blind. The blind's on a 10-foot tower. The minute we're a couple steps down that ladder, we're concealed. And then boom, we're on the ground in the grass, and hopefully getting out undetected, doing far less damage than if we didn't put this concealment around here. Okay, let's talk about what we're planting. I'm not going to go into too much detail on everything, but I just want to get, really the intention is to share with you guys what I think the deer are going to do and why. So down here we have Hot Chick and Comeback Kid. These are cold season perennials that I frost seeded this spring. So these are already growing, and these are going to provide a good spring and summer food, and the deer are going to eat them into the fall as well. But for right now, this is the only thing that the deer have. Next on the pallet are beans, and these are going to be left standing. So these are going to offer phenomenal early season food, but then also late season with a gap in the middle. So the deer are going to eat them, mid-July, August. I know a lot of times you see bachelor groups in the beans when you're driving around looking for bucks in the summer. Through September into October until the beans turn yellow. And the beans turning yellow are a major part in this food plot system, because right at that same time, the pre-rut is heating up. So when the deer turn off of the beans and start focusing on this food, that means if a buck comes into the food plot system down here, he may graze a little bit in this chicory, clover, alfalfa, but then he's going to be marching through the beans to get to the rest of this system, which is going to then have him pass in front of these blinds. Also, if a buck comes into this system, if he comes here or here or here, but especially if he comes down here, if he wants to know what's going on out here, he's got to come all the way to in front of this blind to see any does that might be out here in the big sexy. So it's just like, it's super exciting how this is set up. So after the beans, we got Green Machine, No BS, and then these two plots here, Showstopper and Big Sexy, are more the destination of where I want the deer to end up. And these are brassica plots. And Big Sexy is the destination. Big Sexy is a mix of turnip, radish, kale, and forage rape. I put Big Sexy out here because it was the highest drawing food plot I've ever seen last fall. And so with that in mind, knowing that greater than 50% of the deer come out this corner, but really if you put it along this whole west edge and around here, it's like 80% of the deer are coming from over here. So whether they come out these trails or come into the system here, if they want to get out here to the Big Sexy, they got to go by these blinds. And this, it was just incredible, the drawing power of that food last year. And then in December, especially if we get some snow, then the beans are gonna turn back on, and we're hoping really to have some great muzzleloader hunting out of this blind when that happens. Hopefully get 5-6 inches of snow in the first part of December, and if we still have tags to fill and a buck that's on the list, then these beans should offer a great opportunity at that time. But let's finish up talking about structure here. So edge feathering. This means we're going to lay down trees along the edge of this wood so the deer cannot enter right here. So if a deer, if a buck wants to be part of what's going on out in this plot, they're going to have to come through the gap. They're going to have to enter and come through this gap. This circle is a scrape tree. So again, with so many deer coming from over here, the intention is that a buck comes out, comes to this scrape tree, and presents a 25-yard quartering away shot while he's distracted from this blind. Out here, we got corn, alfalfa, corn. These are big destination agricultural fields. We're talking 150 acres of food out here, which, again, I'm excited to put this big concealment blocker in here because I think the deer are just going to feel, incredibly safer on the other side of this, feeding in all of these plots. All in all, I have never done this before. This is my 5th year planting any kind of extra food plots. I was always I never really got into it because there's so much agriculture around me. I didn't think it was necessary, but it is necessary. It helps your deer out tremendously and certainly improves your hunting opportunity. But this is on the largest scale that I've ever taken it. I don't know if the deer are going to do exactly what, I presented here, but I do know if I'm not willing to fail, I'm not willing to succeed. So we are either going to learn what to do or what not to do. I'm going to document it and share it as best I can as we go along. If you have any questions, feel free to reach out to me if you want to talk more about any of these products, or what my thinking was behind more of this. I'd love to talk to it. My phone number is in the description below. If you like this content, please like and subscribe to the channel, as there's going to be many more videos talking about landowners working together to manage the whitetail deer. Please visit our websites. The links are in the description below. If you're watching this and you're like, holy cow, I've done something exactly like that, or I think I have some tips that might help this guy, I would love to hear from you. If you know more than me, I want to learn from you. So to cap it off here, it's very, very exciting. It's in the works. This down here is the only thing that's been planted so far. The rest of this is all going to happen within the next month, and then the brassica plots will happen late July. So super exciting. Hopefully you're having fun with what you're doing on your property. If you want to reach out to talk about it, again, my number's in the description below. Thank you so much for watching. Cheers.